advice here. You,
Okay.
before I speak to these guys, what happened in that courtroom today is what felt like happened yesterday at the meeting to us.
Nothing fucking happened. Yeah.
And the problem is, I don't know how to tell these guys that I'm gonna need to press charges against Angel to make my point.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to stir shit, you know what I mean? But they're like forcing my hand by being retarded.
It gets rough, right? Because what if she doesn't even want to show up for a court case? Then what happens?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's dragging
It's dragging it out again.
It's dragging shit
I
out.
thought the intention after the governor came in was to just like move on from this shit. Like,
they keep forgetting because there's a new person every day that's walking in there. And fucking Arcadia's got goldfish memory, and Weiss, for some reason, thinks he knows everything, but he hasn't been here. So, like, it's putting me on how do I put this? My fear is I'm going to have to take actions that are going to be perceived very negatively as my only recourse. But I can't communicate this to them because I don't know why they aren't picking up on it. So how the fuck do I tell them? Do I tell them directly? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Maybe it's at that point, right? I think there's so many like just systemic failings right now. It's wild. I'm like I lost my mind several times in that meeting yesterday. There were moments where I was just ready to put my head through a wall.
Yeah.
I don't understand why everything's so obstructionist. I don't understand.
That's what it feels like.
I don't understand why we don't just like. I don't understand why. Like, I understand Weiss has a million new ideas. He's just being empowered and he wants to do a million new things. Fantastic,
he's a
great,
baby
amazing.
in that room.
Just roll it the fuck back and then move on from there.
That's what I'm not understanding is they don't have time to discuss it, but they don't want to roll it back, even though I have to expose Angel in order for them to understand. And Angel's he's clearly not trying to be around right now. Bad. So, like, it's kind of like, bro, she resigned during like, what are you trying to get me to do? You're trying to, like, you're like, I feel like I'm getting no balls into doing something dirty. You know what I mean?
It gets worse, right? It gets worse because, like, literally, I don't think it's like, even myself, I was appointed by Justice Angel as a judge. We all got our jobs because of Angel. People got promoted because of Angel. Like, like, if the well is poisoned to the point where it needs to be proven how poisoned it was, right? And we go into, like, put it this way, right? It ends in a court case and I have to get up there and go through that fucking warrant on that hill with Pred, right? And then I have to go through the meeting I had the next day with the two justices. And the fact that they then took court cases involving all this information, right? I have to do all of this. If all of this comes out, if it all comes out, how is the whole system not poisoned?
Exactly.
I don't understand why they're not just engaged.
They put together like a fucking email chain with every judge on it. Like, they're self-conflicting each other with these conversations.
This is the other thing. I do not understand. And I think you're probably on board with me. Why does every decision legislatively need a consensus of all the judges, a vote internally of all the justices, right?
Yeah.
Where they then become conflicted on it. Because here's the thing: if any issues are highlighted with any of those laws, right?
Exactly.
Immediately, they've got to either admit they were foundationally wrong in signing it, or that they were incompetent in signing it in order to overrule themselves. They're never going to do that because of that inherent conflict. I don't understand this process. It's broken.
Well, it's getting very nasty. It's going to get nasty too because I'm being more patient than I think I need to be. But when I'm getting responses like, in order to appease you, it's like, no, you dumb motherfuckers. We're appeasing you by not cutting you out of the entire conversation. Because
there's a lot of
tomorrow, the three of us patronizing while they're clearly uneducated on basic fucking concepts of law, right? And that's where they're going to trigger me to really stop biting. And I'm trying not to do that to the best of my ability. But like I said, I feel like I'm getting no balls. And if that happens, like, it's going to turn into referendum season. And it's going to turn into us signing things into existence without the DOJ having any involvement, because we have the power to do that.
The system needs to work. And it's not working right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Weiss got a little sidetracked. He has to deal with something with the clerks, but we can at least start talking.
Yeah. So I think it's better if we wait for Weiss just so we don't, rerun the conversation back. But I had a lot
It's
of
gonna
thinking
be
after yesterday's meeting.
okay. It's gonna be a bit. He's
Okay.
let me go
Yeah.
deal with this.
Yeah. What's like 10 minutes, 30 minutes?
30 minutes, most likely.
Okay.
Oh.
It's and so like I'm trying not to be nasty about this, but it's
Yeah.
gonna turn nasty. And they like I'm trying to like nudge warnings that I've been around the block. I get it. You think the title, it kind of feels like they want to ignore history. The city can't ignore history. My office
you
can't
can't.
ignore history. Like, Grayson,
No.
this FOIA, I mean, you know some of the details, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a part of some of the details, right? Like my
So-
name's on some of that shit. I know.
They like,
Like,
am I
I'll be-
supposed to like? Do they want me to like go to court and be like, we need to call down Angel? Here are the reports here. We're gonna go expose the entire deal.
Okay,
Why are they opening up all the wounds? I don't understand.
I don't know. I mean, like, the thing is, all that does is like, all you're going to get to be able to do is lay an argument that not only is the marshal department completely fucking incompetent and on some level, reliant on the political messaging of one individual. I literally stood in a meeting once, where I was told, we all walk in lockstep. We don't have our own opinions. You are not meant to be neutral. You are meant to be on our side. Like, that's what it was. It was a political organization drawn up to reflect the political machinations of one individual. But with militaristic power. It was terrifying. The report I wrote, right? The media blitz,
Yeah.
showers or media propaganda, whatever it was, right? So I get called into a meeting. I'm like, hey, look, I've had these conversations with Nino today, the ones about the sliders, right? This is what happened. He's put out the state announcement. I need you guys, so there's a bunch of us, to record everything said, every piece of information that goes out. And then, the idea was, how do we articulate these as criminal charges, right? So, in my report, you'll probably see me articulating certain things as, seditious but that was the brief. That was what I was told to do. But like, that's the beginning of an investigation, right? Is there anything here? Can we find anything? Are there charges to be pressed? But it's intrinsic in the system there. It's been baked in the system. Everyone there was hired under these pretenses, under these political goals.
Yeah.
And then you can also attribute that to,
Sorry for being a bitch
institutions.
about this. There's just literally someone staying up to meet with him, and he
No,
doesn't even
it's
really
fine.
come around till 4 p.m. So it's just kind of timing shit right now.
Grayson, can you give us or Nathaniel, can you give me an Arcadia
Sure, no
some? I did a lot of
So-
thinking after yesterday, and I'm gonna try to say this in a way that hopefully can resonate. A lot of these meetings, before you had come on board, a lot of it has a lot of history behind it. History that when we attempted to put accountability, people stopped showing up. Right? The FOIA stuff, the Marshall stuff, etc., etc. Yesterday in the meeting, when I'm trying to point at rolling things back and trying to explain why things need to be rolled back, what I'm trying to say is the last thing I want to do is have to get people who have not been around in weeks to have to come in order to prove it in court why things got as nasty as they did. Are you following me?
I am. I'm listening.
And so, I want to find a resolution when it comes to these audits that does not need to have us recant 3 months of history. And if there's a way we can do that, that would be ideal. Otherwise, for our office, it genuinely feels like we're being no balls into going back to where we were over the last 2 months, which was not a good place for, I think, any party, right? Talking about like ACRs and impeachments and all these things that we can do, but is not conducive to a healthy city. And I think that court case that we just got done with downstairs, where then Shiesty decided to fuck off, that left a lot of people in that room completely, with no resolution. It doesn't, whether it's the individuals in Hydra or whether it's the individuals, whether it's the prosecutors, Maxwell and Doc. That was like 6 fucking weeks, 2 months of their fucking life, just thrown away without resolution, right? And while things have been resolved from a legal perspective, they're not going to get they did not walk out of there getting the resolution that they deserved, either one of them. And I fear that this is that the route that we're currently taking, the decisions that we're taking on matters that are 2 months old, is going to hit that same. It feels exactly the same.
Okay.
So
I can appreciate what you're saying,
Yeah.
and I have heard you.
Yeah.
I will let you know that Weiss and I we have a scheduled meeting with Hart today.
Okay.
To figure that out. We're going through and having our notes for the audits done. It is happening. My department works in such a way where we have to listen to each other and get others' opinions. I mean, I've told you from the front that I've wanted to roll this stuff back, and because if those changes that were so detrimental had we still put forward, we'll just go back in with a new amendment. However, I have to respect the fact that that's not the way that other justices feel.
Yeah.
Because we're a team, it's collaborative. So I am doing everything in my power to drag people out and have these conversations.
I appreciate
completely
that.
understand there's history and that there's frustrations. And you know what? You have every right to those. Hell, I mean, you heard me on the stand talking about the Jackie Snow case. I am exceptionally disappointed in PD and their behavior. But I'm also very much of the same mentality. That's exactly why I did not dismiss the case, is because I do believe that there needs to be a resolution. And, it's been 2 months since this incident happened. It's literally the 60th day today. It's literally it's a little double the time of the statute of limitations, right? I agree.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I appreciate that. I really do, Arcadia. And it sucks that I need to even tell you this, because it's shit the way I'm going to unload a little bit here.
Feel free.
I think the way the DOJ is functioning as a legislative body does not make any sense whatsoever. We all coming in as a joint opinion makes sense, like when it comes to like legal court cases and this and that, but it's not working when it comes to working with the 3 other legislative bodies, because it's such a strange, like, for us as the outside, like, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors, right? So
I don't know what's happening behind your closed doors.
It doesn't matter, because I'm the singular voice, right? Pride is the singular voice. Naya is a singular voice. You don't have a singular voice, right?
Trust me,
So
you don't want a singular voice for the DOJ. I can promise you that has gone. This city, from the years of existence, whenever it comes to a chief justice or a DA, and it never works. And while this might not be working, I do still think it's better than giving a speaker or a chief justice all of that power.
I don't think it should be power. I think there needs to be a speaker who has responsibility to give an answer, whatever that answer is.
We're human at the end of the day, Nino. We're always going to have our bias and our opinions, and it's always going to get filtered in somebody's voice.
We need to know who that voice is. So I'll give you an example of what I mean, right, Arcadia, and maybe this will resonate a bit more, is we used to interface with Angel. And then we interfaced with you. And then we Then we interfaced with Hart. And then we interfaced with what's his name? Hollow. And then we interfaced with you. And yesterday we were interfacing with Weiss. And we're literally hearing a different thing every single day, and we're going crazy. To the extent that I can promise you right now, Naya and Pred are checked out. Dr. Naya, literally, I feel so fucking bad for what she's going through because she has given up. She spent 4.5 months trying to like have her things moving forward, and I get it. She's got obstacles, but she's been hearing a different story every week, right? And even though on an individual basis everyone is trying to do their best, as a consequence of hearing something different and having to retell the story, it's draining, right? And when I sit back and look at this, I'm like, it makes me like it makes me pretty sad, and it makes me question how things are going to move forward. And
I want you to have that same perspective and that same ideology when also looking at the people in the positions. Hart and Hallow are checked out. They've been going through this for ages. Angel literally resigned because she couldn't take it anymore. The marshals were left to their own devices. We were left to our own devices. Yet we're still here. We're still trying to work with you guys. Hell, when I was made a justice, one of the first things out of my mouth was, Dr. Naya, how can I help?
So what can I ask?
I understand, but like that needs to be a two-way street.
That I think would be reasonable so there's a bit of a false dichotomy here, right? Because for you and Weiss on a personal level, absolutely I'm going to give you guys your runway. But as a entity, the DOJ, right? On a personal level, I can give you that latitude, and that's why I'm speaking to you directly. But as a entity, the DOJ, an organization at the DOJ, which, due to internal problems has resulted in these things, right? We can't look the other way because we now have to make an excuse for everyone in the city for it, right? Even with what you just said right now is, then why is Hart and Hollow still a justice if they're checked out? Why are their opinions being weighted? Why is Dr.
Naya still, the medical authority? Why is Pred still a mayor? Like we're gonna give them those opportunities. I understand if you want to point the fingers at the DOJ, fine. You know what? My hands are in the air for that one. I get it. It's been a really rough run, but I'm gonna stand in front of you and say, listen, I'm literally doing the best that I can, and I don't know what else to tell you. Hallow and Hart, I think we were having internal conversations, but I can tell you right now, as a new justice, as Weiss, a new justice, we rely on them still.
So they're not checked out.
They're there if we reach out to them, right? But it has to be like in that kind of an avenue of, hey, we need help. Hey, can we have a conversation? I mean, you could do the same thing where you can reach out to them directly. I mean, when I was a judge, I reached out to them, and unfortunately, some things did fall flat. But as justices, it's been a bit of a different narrative.
Do you back Angel's decisions with what she did?
With which part? There was a lot that happened.
Not showing up for Pred's court case.
No, I don't agree with that.
And what about her changing the FOIA legislation to stop me from getting these documents?
No, I didn't agree with that.
And then, according to these reports, because I recommended that Daisy Moss have an interceptor unit so that her officers in the city could have interceptors for LSPD to battle crime, which got then twisted into I am puppeting and controlling LSPD. She made the changes so that the marshals can hire and fire whoever they want in the PD and be their overlords. Those are the two things that I'm auditing. And what I'm trying to say, Arcadia, and I hope you can convey this to the rest, is the reason we're asking for a rollback is I don't want to try to drag her through the mud and have you guys end up having to be on the cross for decisions that you had no part of. You got what I mean? That's kind of what my messaging here is.
If that's genuinely what you think will be the most beneficial thing for this city, I'm not going to stop you.
It
It's a
won't
shame.
be. It's going to be the
It's
opposite.
not. And but if that's the narrative that you're wanting to move forward with, Nino, who am I to stop you?
Wait, what? No. Wait, narrative. Wait, what narrative?
You saying that like we have to stand with Angel's decisions and that we have
No,
to bear
no,
the
no,
same
no, no, no,
cross.
no, 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 no,
That's
no, no, no.
man. That's
No,
so counterintuitive.
I think you misunderstood me.
I
You
must
did
have.
misunderstand me. What I'm saying is, there was legislation. Legislation was unilaterally changed by Angel. By standing back, backing, in order for us to make a case against those edits, we have to open up what Angel did and the background of it in order to make the claim why they need to be reversed back. And if y'all, and then in such a case, y'all be left having to defend it. Is that making, are you
Anyway,
you see, you following my logic
I
here?
understand. I do, but it doesn't really change my response. I'll be honest. Hi. We are talking about
Hey.
the stuff that we are all going to be working on with the meeting.
Yeah.
The notes for the FOIAs and the marshals. And
Okay.
I can appreciate what Nino's
Yeah.
points are. I'll bring them to our meeting.
The ones that you did,
Yeah.
new points or points that you emailed?
Same points. Rolling
No.
it back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll
Bad faith. And again, I've agreed with. Weiss can attest. I've agreed with behind closed doors.
yeah.
But there needs to be a conversation. I'm not going to apologize for that.
Weiss, I'll explain my position. So after yesterday's conversation, a couple things. I wanted to put everything in writing so you knew what we needed to do. After rethinking about the conversation yesterday, here's where I'm at with things. The two audits that we put forward, we wanted.
So which two?
Hold on. Let me bring it up.
You have Marshall, you have FOIA, and you have the first one. I'm blanking on it. I need to pull up my documents and stuff. Are you referring to the FOIA and the Marshall one?
Correct.
Okay.
Both of those audits were made unilaterally by Justice Angel. And the background as to why they took place, it is documented that they were done, and what we are alleging, in bad faith. The FOIA was edited to prevent people like myself from quote unquote abusing the FOIA system by requesting months of reports, right? And I'm sure you've been filled in as to how long they took to get filled in, right? The Marshall one was a consequence of me recommending to Daisy that she get her own interceptor certifications so that the 3 months that they're waiting to get interceptors, they didn't have to wait for Bones to wake up and issue them, right? That set of edits were done in order to claim that the marshals could hire, fire officers and all kinds of other bullshit. Those details are in both audit reports, right? After we spoke yesterday, the first thing that kind of that sparked the questions in my head is, have you read those audits, the contents of them? Right? I don't believe you have personally, Weiss, which is okay.
Me, I had not, because you had just provided them to me for the first
He
time.
was
in
made
that
a
meeting.
justice 2 days ago.
I get that. I get that. I get that.
Really read it over.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I had not read them, but I have read them now.
Look, I'm not trying to come at you guys. I want to say it. You
No,
don't have
we
to.
know that, but we also have to give our own context. So we don't feel attacked right now, Nino. I hope you do know that.
Okay, you do.
I think again, Weiss and I both can stand very firmly
Okay.
on the work that we've already done. So we're not concerned about that, but we will obviously still, back ourselves up with like, come on, man.
So no, I before that meeting I was not aware, but I have read them now.
Yes, I'm okay. So and so given that they haven't been read. We engaged in dialogue about what should occur with these things without the full context being known. Is that fair? That's why I pointed out.
I didn't
Right?
really give an opinion on which way that should go. I gave my own personal opinions on how I think the overarching problem should be solved.
Yes.
That those my thoughts without saying procedurally
Yes.
how these particular
Out of
audits
ignorance.
should
Yes.
get resolved.
Okay.
I needed to read those before I could give an accurate opinion on that.
Excuse
Should
me.
we go this way?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh. Right.
Were you able to have that conversation with Biker, by the way, Ryder?
yeah, I talked to
Okay,
them.
sorry. I just
before
knew she was
on my
literally
way
staying up
here.
for you, and it broke my heart.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Yeah, no, she's
Right.
On that note, I hired 3 court clerks. Nino, I told you I'd get started on that. I did.
That look, yep, I appreciate that.
I'm trucking along with everything as much as I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason that we are strongly requesting these things get rolled back is because in order to make our argument, as you will see in those audits, and please do read them before we discuss any further, is I think when you see it, you will notice that the way that we have to present that argument, if it goes to court, is that we have to summon marshals and Director Angel from their vacation to make a point. And I really do not want to push that on anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to
agree.
turn
And again,
very fucking
Weiss
shitty.
and I literally have a meeting, which was planned, for when he woke up to have this exact conversation.
Okay.
I promise it is
Okay.
happening.
And
My
all right.
official availability starts 15 minutes from now, as indicated on the document.
Absolutely beautiful.
Eepiness.
And I want to
You're
make
doing
sure
great.
I conveyed this because I was sort of losing my mind yesterday as to how my office, Pred, etc., were going to continue things on our ends. And we want to close a chapter and stop moving forward and working with you guys. And the faster we can get rid of all the bullshit that of the past, the sooner we can
And that's
find
been
a way to work
happening.
forward.
I've literally pulled triggers on several of your legislations.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing with Pred. I've been working with Dr. Nashville. It is happening. And I don't understand these audits are important, but I will be fully transparent. I was waiting for the other justices to come around because I can't be the only one pulling the triggers on those things. I handed those over to the justices months ago when I was a judge. But now I'm actually able to do something, but I just can't do it alone. Now we have people. It will happen. Does that make sense?
It does, and I feel bad that you gotta kind of feel like you might need to. Arcadia, you have been amazing, absolutely. But part of me is also kind of hearing that you gotta wait for people that are derelicting their duty, right? Am I?
Well, now I
unless
won't
I'm
have to.
mistaken.
Now that we have other
I'm
justices.
here.
He's literally.
Yeah.
We're just gonna truck. She and I are gonna talk. We're just gonna truck some shit. So
Okay.
give us a little bit, and I'll have some updates for you on those points.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to bring up the background details on why we're reversing it. And hopefully that can set the frame our reasoning a little bit more than, is it $3,000, and this and that, because it's a bigger deal than just that. All right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's why I was not giving my opinion yesterday on how that particular audit should necessarily be handled. The FOIA stuff came up, and I was giving my overarching opinion on how the FOIA problem should be solved, or not to say the problem, but everyone on both sides has concerns about it being both ways. I want to find, like I trumped it, a middle ground that everyone can agree with, makes sense. It gives a little bit of a safeguard rail, but still gives the ability for people to get the information that they need. I think setting that up in an independent manner is better.
Weiss, please read before you say anything else. When you get a chance, read my audit, and it'll make more sense before we come to how things should be.
I read the audit last night. That's why I said that I have opinions on how the particular audit should get handled, but I'm talking about overarching, essentially, if it were to be rolled back, how do we fix it from there?
Yes, thank you. Yes. How do we? So here's my and maybe this will. I'm this is perfect. So here's where I'm getting at, Weiss. I think you're in the right mindset to be like, if someone were to abuse it, how do we make sure that doesn't happen? But the problem is nobody has abused anything yet. So, you know, it's kind of like, why even discuss something that hasn't occurred?
Because, you know, not saying that you did abuse it, right? But let's say that when you did make that big request, right? So we roll it back. Now a bunch of people do actually abuse it, right? But
what is abuse? Let's define that first.
Okay, let's say every member of a 20-person gang comes in at the same time and says, we want every incident that we've been involved in for the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Which could tabulate 1,000 incidents, potentially.
Yes, okay, absolutely.
How the fuck is anybody going to fill that? There's no reason why people need the incidents from last December. For what?
I want to resonate something that was discussed with the governor 2 weeks back. Let things happen in the city, and then we react to it.
But that's what so that's what Angel did, right? She thought you were abusing it.
No,
so then
okay.
She changed
No.
I'm not saying. Hold on. I'm not saying
please.
you did. I'm saying.
Otherwise, I'm going to bring out receipts and it's going to get dirty.
Okay. But give me a second. I'm saying. So let's say that did happen. 1,000 things get requested tomorrow. Then we try to retroactively fix the problem to avoid that abuse.
That's how the law works.
But there are safeguards and rails that we can put on things before they become a problem.
So that maybe we come from two different schools of thought in regards to this. Is
because then we'd be fucked, right? Then we'd have to fill that request because that
what
was the
if
law
Michael
at the time
Simone
that request
decides
was
to
made.
build bombs again and we don't have a way to stand up an army legislatively, right? There's a lot of what if. There's a lot of what ifs, right?
The marshals are there. That we do. That's what the marshals legislation is. That's why the marshals got formed.
It goes deeper than that, right? What if a director decides to, you know? There's a lot of what if scenarios, and I get that, but the thing is, if we start doing what ifs for everything, so let's use like the marijuana legislation as an example, or some of the other pieces of legislation. There's a reason why we wrote them in a way that's loose so that we can allow things to sort of occur and then resolve them after the fact. If we operate off of fear that someone could do something, we are removing a lot of opportunity for things to play out in the city. If, let's say, for example, right, and I'm going to give you an example here, is if an entire gang decides to grief you guys and do mass FOIAs, right, you then have to fulfill them, right? So what happens? You can't fulfill them because you don't have the manpower. So you then respond to them that we cannot do these things in good faith. They then have to make a choice to call a judge and have them look into it. That judge is going to come back, and the safeguard's already there, and say they've already got 8 pending FOIAs, and they're trying to resolve it. You're going to have to bring it to civil court, and now they have to go to civil court for it. It's kind of like, and I'm gonna give you another example, right?
Civil court and say the police department is obligated by law to release these reports, and they just don't have the manpower. And what am I supposed to say? No, PD, you have a pass to not follow.
I mean,
the law.
it's kind of like dooming, right? You know, it's like hyper dooming on something that might or may not happen. Because like I could, if I wanted to, and I was gonna do this.
My understanding from back then was that people were planning on like doing this, and that was the urgency of pushing this change. I don't remember.
Listen, Angel was a fucking crackhead. All right, like I mean, like look at some of the shit that's in these reports. I want to put.
If I remember correctly from the discussions that were amongst judges, there was something about one of the gangs was planning on doing exactly that. And like it had indicated to a judge
based
that they
on
were going
what
to do exactly that. I don't remember. This was months
like
ago.
these are scare tactics, right? Like I'm a bar license attorney. You're a justice. We need to be basing things on facts and evidence.
So
right?
so
Not
the way I'm looking at it is the
hypotheticals.
Constitution, right? Ultimately, the Constitution does specifically state that what is the wording? Something necessity for their well-being or something. So, like I said, there's a certain point where the government has the right to regulate based on the Constitution.
Correct. Yes.
And that's all I'm looking to do is find that middle ground of okay, the money doesn't make sense. I understand the concern about and that was raised in notes from Michael on the thing about having to provide a reason and how that could be unfair to the requesting party or tip off what
Right.
they might be planning on doing. So brain went into overdrive mode of how do we fix that and instill an independent, unbiased layer in between the requesting party and the releasing party, which is where I came up with court clerks.
So let me, and I like that. I like that. We actually pose that very recommendation, is that there needs to be a party that independently, wait, I got to roll this all back because you're not aware of this. We had already been discussing with the justices that there should be a tag that is added by law enforcement called active investigation that functions exactly like a warrant. That the moment you put it on, it becomes a 30-day timer, right? Kind of like the warrant, right? You put a date on it. And if that thing ends up going past the 30 days, it's now open for FOIA. If something needs to go past, like let's say you need more than those 30 days, you put in a request with a judge that this thing needs to be expanded. That the investigation needs to go past those 30 days, just like you do with a warrant, right? 3 days, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what this allows is it removes all the bullshit red tape, and instead a clerk or whatever just does a query and releases anything that is automatically filters out the active investigations, right? That's a reasonable change that pulls all the burden off the table.
One of the biggest problems I see with just automatically doing that
Yes.
is the MDT is not reliable enough to count on that. Like on a regular basis, evidence tags, information straight in the bodies of the reports.
That is presuming we're not going to get IT support. And I would allege
it's been like
that
that for
can.
months. Like there's been rounds and rounds of the MDT getting fixed, and these problems are still persistent. So, if the MDT is reliable, I don't think that's a terrible idea.
I think when it comes to,
I think that's a big concern, though.
So my argument would be that the FOIA request should be. I don't want to get too much into the mud here, but what I would recommend is what needs to be done is that there's a separate FOIA export similar to the bank export that does a completely different query, because the query you're attempting to do right now, not to say that I've got a background in like fucking databases and shit like that, but right now you're querying out specific reports based on a query that does not fulfill the requirements of what's being requested. Instead, you need a complete separate button that does it and outputs it all into like a zip file.
I guess my concern is like that active investigation tag that's supposed to stop those things from being included in the batch. Yeah. If that's not, that tag falls off of an actual and active investigation, that could result. I mean, it will result in reports that are not meant to be released getting released.
But
that, so like I said, if things are stabilized,
claiming, well, hold on,
be better.
Because you're saying a lot of things here. I just want to pause you there.
Yes.
Is that if the police department did not re-up their active investigation?
No. I'm saying they put the tag on the report.
Yeah.
They go take a nap, and then they come back and that tag is not there.
You're saying the MDT may not be saving tags?
Not saving tags, not saving evidence, not saving officers tagged to the report, citizens tagged to the report, evidence in the body of the report. The MDT will just roll itself back indiscriminately on a regular basis.
Brother. Like, this is such a, like, I want you to think about the likelihood of the scenario that we're worried about is that there is hold on. There's a active there is a active investigation in which a tag has been introduced, and between the time frame of a FOIA being requested, which happens how often, that the FOIA gets done in the small interval that the active investigation tag wasn't updated. Like, brother, this is like
Well,
what
so
if
it
your
just depends
internet
when
goes out like in the middle of like a fucking
no.
thunderstorm in a
think,
court case? Like
I think it's sounding like less of a problem than it legitimately is.
yeah, that's not
I don't know
reasonable.
how to explain how often this has been happening in the MDT.
Based on the law of probability, someone like you're asking, this isn't going to
No,
happen.
so let's say there's an active investigation report and then a completely unrelated, because especially if we're going to remove it from the PDs, right? And you're going to have court clerks doing this. The
Okay.
PD's unaware essentially that this FOIA request even came in or that it's being processed.
Sure.
And there's they're working on setting up active investigation reports for something that's going on at the same time. Or they've set up an active investigation report, and like I said, just the MDT rolled that shit back, and the tag isn't there. So I think if we're going to go to the point of the MDT is going to have a whole new button, if alongside that we can ensure a bit more stability, then that might be functional. I'm concerned about rolling that in on a sooner basis of just court clerks can release things that don't have this tag without asking PD. And just do it, because there's actually a pretty decent chance that
I
there's
agree
tags
that
missing
there
from
is a
reports.
more comprehensive conversation that likely needs to happen, right?
Yeah.
And I am very open to that, and I can understand some of the concerns. And it touches topics similar to, like, I am of the opinion that if you have a report that said, Weiss is meeting with Judge Arcadia, and that's the title of the report, and it's just a photograph of you guys talking. I'm memeing a little bit because these are some of the reports that I got back. Is that is that okay? And that, let's say there's more information that needed to be added. It's kind of shitty that the PD now, that I believe that report should be released, but that PD has the opportunity to add more to it. Like, there's a lot of these like little side topics that I think need to be visited. But the question at hand, and as I wrote in the Discordia email, which I stated that the question is about the constitutionality of how these things were added, and not how does the bigger problem get resolved, right? And for my office and Pred to argue the was it constitutionally edited is going to require us bringing in folks that probably aren't interested in being involved. And that is why I once again say, please, for the love of everybody, roll it back, and then let's talk about how to fix it within a week, right? So that we do not have to bring up open wounds from the past. But I want to leave it at that because I know we could end up in circles.
Yeah.
I very much want to say I totally understand your arguments, but let's have that in round 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
And if I'm going to also send you an email to be a little bit more like clear about things. So and
okay.
Yeah.
Katie and I are going to talk about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So hey, I appreciate this. I really need to get this off my shoulders because my head was spinning this morning. So
I can promise we are proactively. We literally had a meeting to talk about it. It is happening. But as it currently stands, there is no speaker. The justices are having conversations, and you gotta give us a chance to have those conversations. Hopefully we'll
Arcadia,
have
you
something.
be Chief Justice, pal?
Eat dicks and die, bro.
So that you hear it too, Weiss. I do not. We do not advocate that. We would love, however, to be.
I hope you could hear the jest in my voice.
No. But when we talk about speaker, we specifically mean someone we can go to that is responsible for getting answers, because for us, whether intentional or not, we hear different things, and
Nino,
That
that's
should
literally what
be
my
the
position
rank.
has been.
Okay,
That we literally have been having that relationship for a month now.
But also,
and
that is a expectation you should be able to have of any justice.
True.
And that's
But
the standard
to
that
Nino's
should
point,
change.
though,
It
and I will
doesn't
give
work
credit where
with
credit,
this,
it
yeah.
changes because obviously we're human. We have our different opinions and different
Yes.
ideologies. But I do bring you the answers of, hey, you know what, we're talking about, or hey, this is happening, or hey, we're working on this, avenue right here, and here's where the audits. I've been doing that.
Wait, are you the speaker of the justices?
Well, I mean, for the intents of the purposes of, I'm still pretty much the liaison between the DOJ and the mayor's office. I don't see why that's changing.
Is that formalized?
It was formalized when I was a judge. Does that change just because I'm a justice?
It does if we hypothetically need to do things like make decisions in here and potentially sue the DOJ or whatever it might be. Not saying I want to do these things, but I'm trying to like underline the importance of that.
Oh,
I
right,
do need
'cause
to
we're
talk to
talking
Fred
about
about that.
Yeah.
The suing of the DOJ. How you talk to him at all? How you guys expect that to be
They
handled?
wanted to go into a
state?
settlement out of court. I said, well, kind of difficult. I said also, no, I want it to go to court, but there's just no one to preside over it. So I was talking to Tony about it. We'll see how that goes.
Weiss, this will give you a good idea.
State, I
When the
guess.
governor said, asked me, did the DOJ sign off on this? And I send the email to Hart, and there's no response. And then I send an email to Hollow, and then there's no response.
Well, now, so we fixed that, right?
Yeah,
because there's now a place where you can get all of us. Somebody better fucking
Am I still
respond.
here?
So
You know what I mean?
as
Like,
long
instead
as
of having to
one
go to each one
justice,
individually.
so if you're like, yes, I
Okay,
did it,
is it very
I'm
quick?
gonna.
Something
Do
I'm
I
just
say
gonna-
yes? The DOJ responded like this. You know what I mean?
You can't sign in? Oh, frick. All right, I'm gonna figure that out.
If any of the justices gives an approval on behalf of the Department of Justice, that would be binding because we speak for all of us when we do speak.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Unless we're giving our own personal opinion, which should come with a note on that
Says,
it's our
I
personal
personally
opinion.
think.
Yeah.
That's why we use the plural we so much.
Okay. So when you say that you're adding the roles for Dr. Naya, is that you, Weiss, or is that the DOJ is collectively adding
well, I mean,
permissions?
that particularly is me, just because I'm the one that's facilitating the email shit, which is
Okay.
like,
Yeah. Okay.
why I'm there.
I feel like you guys need letters or something because we get confused. I think it makes more sense in y'all's head than it does to everybody else. Like, I get it, but it gets fucking confusing as shit.
It seems really simple to me, but I wherever there is an area of confusion, let me know and I can help clean it up.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
There are things that we talk about and vote on as justices. Once that vote is complete, or that there's a majority understanding amongst the justices, any of the justices can communicate that decision.
Okay.
In addition to that, each justice is entitled to and it expresses their own opinion.
Okay, so my message to the DOJ, I do think we need a different email chain that only has the justices, me, Pred, and Dr. Naya in it, such that when we share things like, on more official capacity, we're not polluting individuals in our subordinates. That may be transitory. There may be more sensitive matters we need to discuss that not everyone should be privy to.
Hold. Did you send Dr. Naya the invite? I just don't have her email.
I think you should send it.
I could do it.
Yeah.
I'll send it.
Yeah, that's fine. Justices, mayors, and the doctor. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that is very similar to how y'all have probably internal conversations. You get my point in terms of like some of what may turn into arguments should not be seen by some of the popcorn eaters that may not be involved, right? And we all got them. I got Tilly. I'm sure you got like a Tilly, don't you?
I don't.
Oh, speaking of, I need her keys taken.
Oh, okay. Why is she not part of your cabinet?
It's an internal matter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what? I really don't
What?
care.
No, I
Do you
want the
want
tea,
those
pal.
keys
Hello?
removed? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll find her state ID. 1 second.
All right.
My head.
Wait, no, I get a moment of relapse. You talked about my sex life the other day. I want the tea. Spill. Take that lid off that cup and spill it.
It's way too sensitive. Yeah. Yeah, I would.
I have a small opportunity to think about things that are not actually important, and you take this away from me, Nino. How could you do that?
She wanted me and Moss to have an orgy in here and
What?
involve you really want me to get it? It's fucking graphic.
Sure, fuck it, why not,
Sounds
pal?
like
I had to
God.
hear about her pissing in my Raiden in the fucking bed in there.
Several
Yeah,
times,
sure, I
yeah.
want to hear
Yeah,
it.
it's
you
so
can't
bad
scare
she's
me
not
away
going to be
anymore.
around for a couple days.
What?
No.
Oh no, Tilly!
Yeah. She said, I don't know when
Okay,
she's
maybe
going
I
to be back,
shouldn't
but
hear
you won't see her
Maybe
for
not.
a day or
Maybe
two.
you know what?
All right, maybe I'll hold off on it. Maybe
my
that
God,
tea's
Sam.
too
Just a bit of
spicy.
rest there, Tilly.
Okay.
No, but genuinely, I need to tell her that I'm like, you know, I when it comes to like my duties, I try to put aside all. It doesn't matter who they are. I do what I think is best. And she's, she doesn't know where the line is, so I need to teach her a lesson that her job is on the line when she crosses certain lines that affect the cabinet and the city. So it's she may get him
That's
back
fair.
in like a week or two.
Oh
Merry
my
Christmas.
God.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
how you doing,
I
hot?
got out of bed.
I thought
I'm
we were
doing
just
well,
finishing
thanks.
this meeting.
We are. No, we are. We need to go meet. You know
Yep.
anything else for right now?
Is Hollow showing up?
Probably
No.
not, no.
So, do you know that I can see that Hollow's been playing video games for the past 2 weeks instead of
Oh, yes.
fixing things?
Yes.
Like,
Yes. We can too.
is that
Don't worry.
intentional?
We're well aware.
Is that like,
I mean,
are you trying
he's
to blow
a
him up?
grown-ass man. He can
I know, but there's
show what he
like-
wants to show.
No, I know, but it's just like I have never seen anyone play that number of video games in a span of 4 days. Like it's
Yeah,
And
it's a bit
is-
of a problem.
is that like one last thing? These emails are in city, right? Except the one
He's-
explicitly.
The
I'm sorry?
ones that you are a part of, that chain is in city, correct?
Okay. All right. Beautiful.
Unless they're like
The ones that
all
aren't
of
in
your
city
ones.
are
Yeah,
labeled.
yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. So when I said fuck the DOJ, it's understood that I actually
Yeah, you're
mean
good.
that,
You're-
right?
Oh,
you're
of
good.
course.
Yeah,
No,
that's
none
fine.
of us are worried.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. All right. All right. I appreciate
I
you guys.
almost agree.
All right, Nino.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you,
We'll
Nino.
talk soon.
All right.